is going on, everybody? And welcome to another episode of Screen Time Continuum. I am Nick, and I am joined with the boys as per usual. We got Keelan here. What's going on, man? Happy Sunday night.
Happy Sunday night. Monday morning in some places, depending on where you are in the US of
True.
A or anywhere in the world. Um, I've been getting a lot of messages from different people today. But yeah, no, pretty good Sunday. Yeah, I'm not. It's been a roller coaster of an episode. That's where my mind is. So far,
Gotcha.
other than that, just a good Sunday.
That's fantastic. And we got Big Mike. What's going on, Big Mike? Happy Sunday, man.
Ma- Same to you guys. Glad to see you guys. Glad to know you are well. Same old stuff going on over here. Just trying to contain it.
Yes. And you may be able to tell by the moroseful expressions that we're using that we might have been just watching The Last of Us. Keelan, what's up?
I will say something that gave me a little energy just now. For the last 2 days, something I have not had time to do much of in the last two sports seasons, or in the last sports season at least. I've gotten to sit and watch an endless amount of sports yesterday and today, and it's just a good time for that. I don't know why. I just felt like adding that in there because of how you just exactly what you just said. Our morose um, intros.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you know what? What's an upbeat thing I can add to this intro? Sports was
Yes.
great this week.
No need to add fakeness. Keep it 100. Keep it
Yes.
100.
You know, I haven't cared about sports in a while, and they weren't interested this week. So yeah.
Well, right on. That's
Did
good. Yes.
LeBron score a touchdown?
Yes. Didn't you hear? Come on. Well, thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. We're kind of getting a little bit of a slow start today. We want to let people trickle in. It is an after show episode. So thank you for joining us out there tonight. We really appreciate all of you out there. If you want to interact with us in this live stream, feel free to leave a comment. We always try to respond to comments when people watch. If you like what we do here, we're on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights at 8:30 p.m. Give us a subscription if you like what we do. We would really appreciate it. We're building our audience. We're a very small channel, but we're very excited to talk about The Last of Us, episode 3. So this is going to be your spoiler warning, everybody. If you have not seen episode 3 of The Last of Us, please go. Yeah, go watch that episode and then come back and watch this and see what we have to say and see if you agree with us or not. We certainly wouldn't want to spoil it for anybody, especially since it's only been on for a few hours. So right now is your spoiler warning. We will be talking about the entire episode, and we will be talking about it in detail. So if that's not something you're interested in, we totally get it. Maybe consider coming back after you've seen it, and let us know what you think. If you've seen it, or if you don't mind being spoiled, join us for this journey. Join us for this conversation. We are going to get right into it. If you notice, we're all kind of a little bit somber. That might be because of the episode that we just watched. So, guys, take it away, Keelan. First impressions of episode 3, The Last of Us. Episode 1 left us really, really excited to see what was going on. How do you feel about it?
I know exactly how. Let me tell you guys how I feel about it. I'm going to start with one thing. I was excited to see Nick Offerman in this episode, or in general in this series. So if you guys would turn your volume down just a little bit for me to let you know how I feel. That's all I get? Really?
Yeah.
I'll stop there. Ron Swanson is a guy that I was excited about in this show. So to know what we get out of this, performance-wise, I want to say at the top of this, because I'm probably going to drag the shit out of this episode. But performance-wise, this episode is fucking awesome. Like, if we have to put it on a pedestal as far as getting the job done, the actors did their job. The writing wasn't bad. The shots, cinematography was actually pretty well done. However, keeping in mind that this is a video game, when you're following a storyline, sometimes you have to ask the question why. And for me, most of this episode was a big huh? How the fuck did that help us in any way? And for
Mhm.
those who are like, oh dang, he dropped 2 F-bombs already. Welcome to an HBO review. Fuck you. Um, but no, like honestly, that's that. I think that's the basis of my intro to this review. Wanted to see Nick Offerman. He did a great job as far as acting because he is a great actor. However, um, not really sure where this leaves us and why. And there's a lot of whys, and probably not the most obvious whys. But
All
yeah,
right. Yeah, that's a lot to think about for the first impressions, and we were going to get into all of that in detail momentarily. But first, let's get Big Mike's first impression. Episode 3, Big Mike. What do you think, man?
I can sum this entire episode up in 2 sentences. 2 guys died, and they left Joel everything.
That's yeah, fair enough. That's pretty much what it amounts to. Yeah, definitely.
Everything else didn't matter.
I know.
part of my
None of
complaint.
it. Just
Yeah.
Part of my complaint. Yeah.
none of it mattered. So, what the hell are we doing here?
It's a very good question. Yeah. Anything else for your first impressions, man?
Oh, your turn.
That was very succinct. I mean, I don't know if you can. Yeah, it was almost a haiku with how poignant it was. But yeah. I agree with both of you guys. I think that on its own, what I watched was pretty touching. It was a cute story. It was dramatic. It kind of reminded me a little bit, and I told Big Mike this before we went on. It reminded me a little bit of like if the showrunners had just seen Up and the first 2 minutes of Up and said, "Hey, how do we recreate that in this universe?" And
Yeah.
so it
Mhm.
does feel a little bit like that's what they were trying to do with this whole story, this episode. I am left asking the same questions as you guys. I don't really see why this was necessary. It almost to me felt a little bit like a bait and switch. I didn't want to see deep existential drama between two like significant others until their death where they yeah I mean I won't get into the details because we'll talk about that, but it just I don't know. It's not what I wanted to see in this series. Is it going to be like awful? Is it going to kill everything? I don't think so, but that depends on what the rest of the episodes are like because I don't know if I can do this where it's like let's tell the story of the next people Ellie and Joel plunder because they're already dead. Um so we'll see. I'm trepidatious on its merits. The episode is decent. Um
That
but
is kind of
yeah,
how each episode ended, huh?
Mm-hmm.
yeah, kind of. Yeah.
They in episodic. It's
Yeah.
oh wait, you're still in your first impression.
No. I think I just could wrap up by saying that, yeah, like I don't know how much further I'm willing to follow this thread if it's just going to be like this sort of over and over again. Um, and yeah, I think that's where I'll leave it. Let's get into further details, guys.
Yeah. I want to open again, repeating that yes, this is a video game, but the awkward thing about this being a video game, a show based on a video game, is we know they take the liberty a little. They've let that be known from the gate. Um, this episode is the creation of a safe house. Within that, I'm trying to figure out why is this the most episodic TV show we've ever watched or that I can remember in a long time. Like it sounds weird to say that, like, wait, it goes episode by episode. But no, it's literally an entire episode, like a storyline that cuts off. And the only thing that goes on is these two people go from area to area into a new episode.
Mhm.
It's a
Yeah.
Telltale game, basically. I've never played the game, so it actually might be a Telltale game, which actually would make a lot of the beats make sense for the show.
Yeah, I've never played the game myself either, but I think that there were some creative opportunities for this character that Bill is. I don't know if it's as explicit in the game. I think that they kind of did that on their own. The concept of the origins of a safe house is kind of interesting, but at the end of it, I just felt like. I don't want to watch I don't want to watch something that bums me out every episode. I just
Mhm.
don't. And so like if that's what this thing wants to do, I'm just not for it. Maybe you can call me, basic or whatever, but I'm just, like there's a lot of drama in the world as it is. There's a lot of really tragic things that happen in real life. And I don't know. I don't need to watch it for an hour, you know?
Right. Right.
I'm not sure. What do you guys think? I mean, like, am I being off base? Like, I know that drama has its place and all of that stuff, but it just did feel a little bit heavy handed with like, oh, we're going to tell this story of people falling in love and then watch them die. And it's going to be good because that's dramatic.
For what we're expected, or what, well, they say don't whatever you expect something worse, or don't release your expectations for this. But
Mhm.
for what I'm expecting, this was like pulling at the wrong emotion strings, because if we're looking forward to a worse and more gruesome apocalypse, I don't need heartbreak added on top of that. What are you trying to do? Kill
Right.
me?
Right.
There
That's
was,
kind of how I feel too. Yeah.
there was enough heartbreak in episode 1 at the very beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
There was
all
a
I needed.
episode 2.
Less.
A
Much
little
less.
less, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
No, I kind of agree with you. You know, I think that this is what The Walking Dead kind of did, right?
Yeah.
It
It
made
almost felt like
such
an episode from Walking Dead, from
it
episode
did
season 3.
almost exactly like an episode of The Walking Dead, but it made it like the zombies and everything was just sort of secondary, but it was really about these like awful moments that humans get put through.
Hmm.
And at some point, it just feels like you're torturing yourself. I don't know, like um with this one, it was okay. Like they telegraphed it pretty obviously
Oh
once
yeah.
we are introduced to Nick Offerman's character. He's um, uh, hiding from being rounded up by the government, and his town is evacuated. And he does, I like that montage where he basically owns the town and he starts building everything and stuff like that. I
That
thought
was
that
pretty
was
cool.
pretty good.
That was
Um,
pretty cool. I just thought of something, but I'll add it in later, and I just thought it was funny.
oh,
Mhm.
right, but then he somebody springs a trap that he sets outside of his perimeter, and he meets Frank. His name is Frank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but wait,
Frank and
so
Bill.
we're jumping ahead a little because we haven't talked about the journey that Joel and Ellie are on. Even though this is a little in the future, it's not the same timeline. But
Hmm.
before we get to that, um, they're on their mission, and then as they're going along their journey, he begins to kind of to who Bill and Frank are, and that's when we get the Bill and Frank story. But
Right.
before
Yeah.
that, we actually get a disturbing moment from Ellie.
I kind of omitted all of the Ellie and Joel stuff because it doesn't seem like it matters at all in this episode. Sorry. Yeah.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Well, to me, this one, or one of these parts for Ellie at least, and I think that's why I wanted to go back to it really quick, because I
Mm.
really want to get the excuse me, the Bill and Frank stuff too. But this one little piece with Ellie was weird because it said a little bit about her mindset, and it made
Mm.
me question how much does she know.
Mm.
Um, so they go on their route. They hit the old stash spot, and she finds the little trap door with the infected underneath. And she goes up to it and she cuts the brow of it. Just I don't know if I thought she was trying to see if it bleeds, but
Mhm.
she had kind of just sliced it a little bit at first, looked at how much pain it was in, and then she killed it.
Right.
And it was like I wasn't sure if that was a moment of an animal playing with its food or just a moment of curiosity. I wasn't sure, but I feel like that said more to us about Ellie inside than what we're getting so far.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think you're definitely right about that for sure. Ellie does seem to be maybe a sadist in some respects.
Hmm.
She definitely wants to get her hands on a gun.
Oh
And,
yeah.
so, mm, I mean,
Oh.
from what I know from the second Last of Us game, like I don't even know why I'm watching this because I know what's going to happen. And so
Do you
I don't
think
know.
the virus is gonna inside, because it is inside
What
her,
virus?
clearly drives her? What?
Yeah, it's not a virus.
Wait, what is it again? I
It's
forget.
a
It's a
fungi.
fungus.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Do you think the fungus inside her bloodstream has festered and can possibly cause rage fits?
I was thinking that.
Mm,
That would
I
be an
think I
interesting
think
angle.
Joel knows something she doesn't know, and that's why he's so paranoid about her having a bite without mutation.
Yeah. That's an interesting angle. I think they could possibly do something with that.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, so far her bite hasn't spread or anything. So it seems like she has it under control, but who knows? There could be a psychological element to that where she kind of has maybe some violent tendencies.
Yeah. But then, so they're walking and they find the field after he tries to get her to go away from it. They see the field of the innocents that were killed. And then that's when we flash back to September 20th, 2003.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm going to round back to where you were. Apocalypse, they take the whole city, Bill's by himself. And then, yeah, Frank trips the alarm. And yeah, why he didn't kill Frank?
I mean, the best bet I could say is that he was lonely, I guess, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking, but at the same time, I felt like it was kind of like established as soon as he started coming into frame that he was a loner and
Hmm.
he really didn't need people,
No, he definitely
especially
didn't.
since it was like 4 years later when he actually accepted somebody.
Finally. So I think that's the first time he saw something that wasn't drooling on itself.
Right.
Maybe, maybe not. He's only a few hours away from Boston.
That's true.
Yeah.
And he has a working vehicle and he
Right.
goes out for supplies regularly. Fair enough.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of sort of leaps that you kind of have to make a little bit when we're talking about this because conveniently his town is totally evacuated. There was never anybody sick, and they're far enough away from the infected that running a generator and having a town that's fully functioning isn't going to attract a whole lot of people
Right.
or
Well,
infected.
all of
Um,
the people that could have been turned were evacuated.
And murdered already.
right,
Yeah.
but the Raiders took a long time to get there. That's for
I
Yeah,
th-
it
sure.
took them
I
like
think
what,
he
7 years?
7 or 8
yeah, I
years.
think he
Yeah.
was so far away, like Joel was trying to explain to him, like he was so far away from everybody, even being a few hours from Boston, and it seemed like he was up the mountain as well.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely had the whole thing perimetered off for
Yeah.
sure.
Because
Um,
well, he was a survivalist, which another thing I thought wouldn't have been clever to at least have him be around for more than one episode and teach a couple of things to Ellie.
no, don't do that. He's got to die. Damn it.
I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with him
You
dying,
know,
but I was curious. It was curious
right?
thoughts.
I guess Frank would have been had the right because I think that he wanted to sort of bring people into the community. That might have made life a little bit easier for them, or worse. Who knows, right?
Yeah, because they could have had a whole free zone or
Right.
whatever they called it in The Walking Dead, where everybody
Hmm.
lived in harmony and peace.
Look, all they needed was Joel and Bill, and they would have been fine.
They didn't
Yeah.
need them. They served no real purpose other than to leave him stuff.
Joel and Bill. Oh,
Yeah.
fight! Yeah, yeah. At the end of the episode, yeah, sure.
It's a checkpoint in the video game. It's like where
Yeah,
where
exactly.
you get your weapons upgrades in the video game.
I
Right.
realized that
That's it.
immediately. As soon as the episode ended, I was like, ah, checkpoint. Got it.
Yeah, yeah. A
I didn't
wall
think
of guns.
checkpoint. I thought pointless. I didn't see the purpose in any of it. Just none. I didn't
It
see any
does.
benefit to the show, the episode, except to say that some people died and they left him some stuff.
Mm.
Mhm.
Oh, we got
That's
Corey here. What's going on, Corey? He's gonna help
Right.
us fill in a little bit of this because
okay.
we're noobs.
Right.
So
Appreciate that, Corey. I'll run this one.
yeah, go ahead.
So Corey says, I think in the game, Frank was dead, Ellie was separated, and Bill found her, and they had some background.
Okay.
That actually makes sense. Something that was said after the show, in the post-credit stuff, the creators were talking about how Bill was by himself, and they kind of jazzed his story up a little bit.
Right.
Which I think that's where the addition of the I don't think that would be gender specificity, but the changing of his spousal type. Him being a part of the LGBTQ community. Um, I think that's why that was added as well, because once they started moving his story around a little bit, it was like, okay, well, what else can we add that would be a little more, probably just reel a few more people in at the end of the day.
Hmm.
Um,
Probably.
n-
But
Usually
I
I would
don't.
think that's one of the least necessary things, but I don't think it was that bad this time. But at the same time, it was unnecessary, as a lot of things were in this episode.
Well, I think ultimately, I don't really care had this been any sort of story. I think it spent a little bit too much time on them and not enough time on the characters that we're supposed to like. I kind
Right.
of felt myself a little bit annoyed at Joel and Ellie in the beginning too. Um, but that was just me. I think I'm still not getting their
No,
chemistry, but that's probably on purpose because they're not supposed to get along with
it's
each
it's
other
not
just
you
yet.
Right.
because she's irritating.
She's
She's
irritating, and
super
he's
It's
not
irritating.
not.
supposed to get along with her. He's supposed to be irritated by her.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
even
not
if
you. She's just irritating because she
well, she's
acts like
supposed
a
to
little
also be
kid in a
irritated.
situation where she's not acting like she's old enough to understand the circumstances they're in.
Well, she's supposed to be 14, and I think on the
Doesn't matter.
game
At
she
14, you
remembers that.
understand that you got
Right.
you got
What
sound
14-year-olds?
attracted zombies around,
14-year-olds, you know.
I mean, it's fair enough.
bruh.
Yeah, you have to balance you have to balance the sort of apocalyptic wisdom that one would get with the urge to be an obnoxious teenager. So
That's it. Yeah.
I can understand that a little
Am I
bit, but I
lagging
did
or are you
find
guys
myself.
lagging?
You might be lagging a little bit, but I did find myself being quite annoyed with Ellie, which maybe that's supposed to be the case. I feel more like Pedro Pascal, just tired and over it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he
Fed
was
up.
definitely grunt man quite a bit this
He's grunt
episode.
man.
Because that's what. Because I'm finding she's less likable for me because it's not. It's. I mean, I understand she's a kid. I understand she's supposed to be 14,
Mhm.
but even at the age of 14, you understand danger.
Yeah, but that's a different discussion as far as
She grew
perception
up in
of
it.
what did she.
This. What I mean is the threat that she's dealing with is her normal.
No, I get what you're saying, but the perception that she's giving forth as far as the school she went to when she's talking to Joel is that they didn't give them the kind of education that you would assume they gave them in this situation.
Mm.
So that she doesn't
I
have as
understand
much
her being.
knowledge of them as we would expect her to, especially going to a Fedra school.
Well, I understand that she wouldn't understand seatbelts. I get that.
But
Never
no,
been
there
in a
were other
car. You don't
things.
know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, but there
I
were other
understand her
things.
being surprised by the airplane thing. I
That's
get
not what I'm
that
talking
too.
about. There were other things that she mentioned in like episode 2 where she didn't know as much about the virus. She doesn't know as much about or even in this episode, she asked about the virus and she got more background on how it all started and spread. She wasn't taught in that manner, so much so that she was given stuff by, I
Bruh.
forget her name now.
I
What was
get what you.
Marlene?
I
Well, she was
understand
given
what you're
things by
talking about,
Marlene, but even Marlene didn't have time to prep her to
bruh.
fight and go out into the wild against these things, is what I'm saying.
Bruh,
They're not
I
prepping
get that.
people
That's not
into
what I'm
battle.
talking about. What I'm talking about is the fact that she acting like she don't know she need to be quiet. Like she don't understand that there's a threat with these things.
But that goes
Yeah. I
to what
mean,
Nick is saying about her being an obnoxious teenager.
she's just an obnoxious teenager. That's all I
Okay.
can chalk it
All
up
right.
to be honest. It is
Okay.
annoying me too. It annoys me too, Mike. Don't worry about it.
It's TV. They make it for her to be annoying. I'm not saying she's supposed to,
Yeah.
like, hey, let's make her make sense. Look, you can't make it make
Corey's our
sense.
lore master here, so he is helping us with the game. In
Right.
regards to Bill, he was gay in the game, and
Right.
they
I
had a
understand.
totally different. And in the game, apparently Frank had taken off with half of Bill's
Oh
food,
shit.
and he sort of rejected the hermit lifestyle. Interesting. Okay,
Oh, that's the change. Okay, got it,
that
got it,
that
got it.
colors it in a much
Wow, that
more
makes it even more
dark light.
unnecessary. Because
Yeah, it
right, I
makes it
would have
way
preferred to
darker.
see that story, see them have this like 3-year love story, and then he takes off with all this shit in year like
Oh,
6 or
that would have
something.
sucked. Yeah,
Like instead of having that 10-year jump forward, at that point, what if they had split?
right.
That would have been crazy.
Mm-hmm. Mhm.
Man,
Yeah.
shit, that might have been the adjustment this episode needed. Maybe that's why, because what they changed was they gave you so much, I guess, canon material, and then to just take that and shift left, I could see that not translating so well.
Also, it kind of felt like a endorsement for medically assisted suicide.
Yeah,
Kind of felt like that too.
I
yeah,
mean, just in my personal opinion, I just, like it did feel like I don't know. It was sad enough, but it also did feel like, hey, Frank basically tells Bill, if you love me, you'll kill me.
yep.
And
Right.
it's
I
like,
didn't like
God,
that, but I was
dude, what?
waiting to get to that. I thought that
Yeah.
was one of the nastier parts of all of this. Like, hold on, wait. Did you just say, "Do you love me"? Hold on, bro.
Hmm.
But then he threw it back in his face and did the same.
Right.
Yeah, that's true.
You get your
And that's
double
why he
dose
said
of
it was so
depressed.
romantic. And I was just like, bleh,
Right.
bleh.
Here we go. Here we go, Mike. Corey's got your back
Yes,
on this.
exactly. Corey's point is exactly. Well, I think it's right in the midst of both of our points, or all of our points. Her being that cocky. Oh wait, let me read what Corey said first. Corey says, when Ellie jumped down in that cellar, I was just like, she cannot be that stupid and cocky, but she can because she's a teenager, and she's an arrogant teenager who thinks she knows everything. So I think we're all on the same page with she's stupid as hell, because that's just dumb, right?
I don't think actual teenagers are that stupid, though.
I
Well,
don't
then
think every
again, you know
teenager
what?
is
Let me
that
shut up.
stupid.
Let me shut up. They eat Tide Pods.
I don't think
That's
every
true.
teenager is that stupid, but what we have to do, especially when it comes to these shows and films, is we have to assume that they're always going to give us the worst of the worst. They're either going to give us the worst or the best. It's either one of the two extremes. It's never going to be in the middle. We're never going to get the even killed perfect kid.
Yeah.
Not in script,
Part
that
of
is.
it. Part of it also does feel like it's a little bit of a sort of like tension device because Ellie is so haphazard and blasé about the danger of the situation that they're in. It
I wish
adds a
she had
little
got
bit.
attacked.
It adds a little bit more tension. I think we were watching it, and then when she goes down into the cellar, my wife is like, "Why would she do that?" And I said, "Because if she does what she's told, there is no story."
Right. Look, when she jumped down in the cellar, I
So
was like, now how's she gonna get her stupid ass back up there? Then she picked up the trash can, and I was like, bullshit.
Lucky.
lucky, you were lucky that trash can was there.
I'm
Right.
sitting there looking at that little aluminum shit that they grabbed offset because they didn't have nothing else to put down there. Look, I looked at that trash can and I was like, that's not gonna work. How you got that clean ass trash can in this apparently locked, closed off basement area?
Well, and the ledge was still probably about 5 feet
Extra foot or two.
from the
Yeah, she
top of the
wasn't running
trash
that.
can. Yeah,
And she couldn't jump because she's short and stubby. Listen,
yeah.
play me on a different day. But so yeah, we get to Bill and Frank meet, and basically the Doomsday Preparer meets the boutique guy. Basically, like, what? How do we paint that? Because
I don't know where he came from.
right, it's like, how did he last out there that long? Because he seemingly had no survival skills.
None.
I mean, shit. Bill did all the cooking. Bill did all the cleaning.
And
Bill
he's
did all
lucky
the
that wasn't a
preparations.
Ponzi pit, which,
Right.
Should
With
have
the
been.
spikes in the bottom.
right.
Should have been. And
Which I mean, yeah, if you're that type of dude, you would make it a Ponzi pit. You wouldn't
Mhm.
just have a pit.
I'm trying to figure out, why would he run out to the pit so quick if you thought it was a monster? You let that thing just fester for a little while.
Let it marinate.
Sure. Yeah, you could do that.
You know, toss a dynamite stick, a boomstick in that thing. I don't know.
Damn.
What?
Not even a grenade.
Nah, grenades are too expensive. Dynamite's definitely more affordable.
Damn.
Materials.
Cold business. We
Cold
taking
business.
it to the Acme crate.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look, this is an apocalypse, not apocalypse, apocalypse.
Right.
And when it's an apocalypse, anything is a plausible.
I see.
No, okay.
Well, anything but that. But yeah, I get you.
All
yeah.
right, that's right.
So Frank gets taken in by Bill, and it starts off as if it might be a question of whether Frank is going to try to kill Bill in order to take his resources. But then it swiftly turns into, oh no, they like each other.
As soon as he went to put the clothes down.
Right.
You know
Right,
what?
right.
When he came out with the fancy meal, actually.
That's true.
It took you to
Yes.
that.
Yeah.
So the fancy meal part for me, at first I was like, the meal is cool, but it was the way he came out, like shocked, like, oh, you caught me.
He
Like, what do you
busted
mean we
out like the
caught you?
Kool-Aid man.
But he
I
definitely
think he
popped
was
out
trying
like
to
he caught
catch.
him.
Yeah, I think he was trying to see if Frank was going to be like snooping and then get like
I mean,
super
he
caught.
was.
There
But he
was
wasn't
no girl,
snooping.
was there?
Oh, right.
No.
I know. Now, all right, you jumping too far.
That was kind of cheesy.
I mean, they had to find a way to just break the mode at that point because they had gone so far. It was like, all
Yeah.
right, are they going to throw on a ball gown next? I
And
mean,
good
no, like
on-
think about how far they went. Like it was at a point where it was like, all right, you guys haven't even said whether or not you're interested in one another. Now you're just playing this cat and mouse game, and it's just you two. So if you don't get to the fucking point,
I also
Right.
think it's I think it's also a little bit
It was sweet, though.
presumptuous to think that if two gay people met in the apocalypse, they'd fall in love with each other.
Immediately, that's what my wife said. My wife said, so the first person you meet, for real, that's just how we do it.
Right, exactly.
She was like, that's pretty fast for somebody you just met in the middle of an apocalypse. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
you in love. I was like, that's a really good point.
Very, very quick. It
But
happened
then
very
again, I
fast.
also had to let her know that she's
don't
not
you
a
know
guy.
that
Guys don't know
that-
that we don't. Guys assume that when we find any form of love, it's eternal.
I'm about to say the exact same thing. Don't you know that when guys fall in love, it's that's it.
It's forever.
It's forever.
Right.
Until you take a whole bunch
Because
of
we
sleep
love
pills.
idealistically.
It's forever until you planted me strawberries and develop non-disclosed terminal illness.
Yeah, I think
Well,
it
they
might have
had a
been
whole
like
pharmacy, didn't they?
ALS or something. I don't know. He was
I thought it was
becoming
cancer.
paralyzed. Could have been cancer too. Who knows? But he definitely lost his leg movement, and it seemed like he only had one arm left. So
Yeah, it was getting pretty bad.
yeah.
His paintings had fallen to the wayside. He went from looking like Nick Offerman to looking like Gabagool in the painting.
Gabagool?
Yeah, like his face, half his face looked like he had a stroke in the painting.
Is gabagool a real food, or is it just like a meme food that people think Italians eat?
Nah, I thought it was porridge. I really always thought that was a name for porridge.
No, gruel is porridge.
Yeah,
but
that as well.
gabagool is like, give me some gabagool. Come on. I don't know. Some weird Italian.
What?
Time to Google it. Oh man. Oh, some lore update.
Oh yeah. Here we go. Sorry about that. Corey says here, yeah, I like the darker game story where Frank screws him over. Goes with the theme better than the saccharine sweet eternal love Romeo and Juliet double suicide thing. That's kind of what I thought about it too. To be honest, I thought it was overly saccharine, in a way that kind of just like it was so harsh against the tone of what we're actually dealing with here.
Yeah, I was confused on why it was. Where's the relevance? Where's the connection?
Right. I at some point at the towards the very end, we were watching it. It was like, well, now watch. He's gonna like shoot him in his bed after like 10 years.
Damn.
I mean, I was waiting for some immense drama to pop off too.
Right.
I didn't think that far into it, but I was for sure sitting there like, all right, one of them's gotta go, right?
I think that would have made more sense to me, but I didn't expect any of that.
Well, the self-induced suicide, the double suicide at the end. What's funny is I actually thought that it wasn't going to work.
I thought so too. I did.
I was
thought
thinking
so too.
like with the time span, we didn't know exactly when that was happening, and we know that Joel was on his way there, as if he knew for sure they were still around.
Yes, and he mentioned them as if they were in the present tense. So
yeah,
I was like, oh shit! What if like Frank dies and then Bill doesn't die?
Yeah, and what I figured is especially once we saw, so this came full circle, that they were the ones playing the music on the radio. So remember, he heard the 80s music.
Mm-hmm.
So he knew things were going bad, and when he went there, he already knew that they would be broadcasting that. So I was also thinking in those terms, like, I don't know, man. They had a lot of things set up to get this thing perfectly done. Like they were fully prepared, and none of that. Oh, that's the point.
Yeah, it does feel like I don't know how many more times I want to see Ellie and Joel arrive somewhere where everybody's dead again and just take their stuff. Like,
We have a total of 8 episodes, so you'll see it at least 5 more times.
I
Don't
mean,
say
like,
that.
I hope not because it's already old to me. Keelan is having a conniption fit over there.
Because
Right.
I'm like laughing at my take, and at the same time, I need just to drink some water. So it was like
Yeah.
really hard to not cough as I was laughing at that. But
Yeah, but
that's
yeah.
yeah. Go ahead.
No, I just don't want it to be this like, oh yeah, we're gonna, we're gonna tell a story about a people or a person or whatever, and then Ellie and Joel are gonna arrive, and then that person's gonna die, and they're just gonna take their resources in order to do something else. I mean, they're on their way to Wyoming, but who knows how long that's gonna take for them to get there. So
I know the real reason they're going to Wyoming, right? Who's in Wyoming?
His brother.
Kanye,
No, Kanye. Nick knows what's up.
yeah,
That's why
they're
they're
going to
really going to
Kanye's
Wyoming.
ranch.
That's where his brother's at. His brother's no
Exactly.
longer a Firefly. He met Kanye. He's hanging
That's
out on the
right.
ranch. He gonna be
Hmm.
on I forgot the name. The Donda 2 album. Oh no, Donda 2 came out already. Dang.
I feel like this is a pop culture reference that's going over my head.
It is, but that's
Oh
okay.
yeah, Kanye owns like half of Wyoming or something like that.
He has
Oh,
a
nice,
gigantic ranch over there. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think
nice,
it's literally half of Wyoming, but apparently he owns like quite a bit of land out there.
Well,
good.
Wyoming's one of those states where you can buy like a tenth of it or something at a time.
Well, that's fantastic because that's less land for Bill Gates to steal and
Well,
China.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. Chase
Uh
Davis, thanks for checking in with us in your comment. I don't know why they changed the whole Bill story. Frank died by hanging himself from bites and helped with the
wow.
truck. That's
See
interesting.
that now that
Yes, you.
truck part I
Yeah.
would have
I would have
loved to see.
preferred that.
Now, and I
Yeah.
like thank you, Chase, for that because that truck part goes exactly what I was saying. What were Frank's talents? What were his skills? What did he contribute? This is an apocalypse story, so everybody has to have a level of significance, with the exception of the kid, because there's always a kid, and that kid this time is Ellie. The kid doesn't usually have to have any talents that we discover until later, which is usually they're the cure or something like that. But outside of that, usually every adult has some level of talent. From the moment we met Joel and Tess, people were talking about their skills, right? What they can contribute. From the moment we meet Bill, we see what Bill could contribute. He grows things, he builds things. Hell, he builds other types of things. He knows how to retrieve resources, etc., etc. Marlene and all the other Fireflies. We can go down the list, right? So far, Frank's the only person we've met that we haven't seen him contribute in any way except for emotionally, and that's to Bill. So thank you, Chase, for adding that because that really made me curious to like, all right, did they really just throw? Well, Corey already let us know that Frank is a real character and he didn't make it through in the game, but
Mm.
that just knowing that part about the truck, it helps. Like it
Mhm.
helps. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
It adds a
Yeah,
little bit more of utility to sort of push the heroes further for sure. This one felt almost a little bit too enclosed as almost as if and maybe that's what the whole point is, right? That like they just didn't matter and
they
um
still don't matter.
well they only matter in the fact that they have resources to offer Ellie and Joel at this point.
Right. I
Um
mean, even if we added all that other stuff that they're telling us from the game, which would have
mhm,
been cool to make put it in a better context for their relevance, they still don't matter.
yeah.
Mhm.
Everything
Yeah.
could still happen, and we never knew anything about it, and it could still be ending with Joel got some free resources.
Well, yeah, we could have honestly saw like a 2 minute montage of Bill and Frank going through all the things they went through, and it would have been just as impactful. And we could have ended it with
I thought
that.
that that's what they were gonna do,
Yeah,
and I thought that it was gonna be like, oh, then Ellie and Joel get to Bill and Frank's, and
and
maybe
that could have
Frank
been
is,
30 minutes of the
or
damn
maybe
episode.
Frank is dead, or maybe Frank or Bill dies in order to help progress them along on their
Mhm,
Right.
journey.
mhm.
But we got some
Um,
comments here. I wanted to.
right.
We
Ayla
got
asks.
Hila.
Also, did we ever learn what's in Boston? There is a Firefly camp in Boston, correct? Like a QZ.
They were going. He was apparently Frank was Baltimore QZ got decimated, and he was on his way to Boston QZ, which would have been another safe city for normal people to live. How he made it that far and why, he was headed to Boston, who knows?
Oh, right. Because Frank was also headed to Boston. I actually forgot that for a moment. Yeah,
Right.
we don't know why Frank was headed to Boston. Sounds fishy to me. See,
Mm.
again, why does Frank thing sounded fishy, right? Chase says, I agree it was a political view, as we all know. And from the game, Bill interacts with Ellie when she sees his bunker, and it's great. That would have been a great scene. I think we
Yeah.
all agree. We don't even know anything much about that, but we all agree that that would have been a much different tone
I
to
would have
see.
loved for Bill to be alive when Ellie goes down to the bunker and sees the wall of guns. That would have been
Right,
good.
and I'll paint even how that they could have had that happen. Ellie goes into that little tunnel thing, and when she kills the what are they calling them? The infected that's down there. There's a
Mm,
little hole, and she goes through that, just thinking like, "Oh, I'm just gonna go through and come back before Joel finds out." She gets trapped and has to find her way. 10 minutes later into the episode, she's out somewhere and she runs into Bill as he's restocking. That would have
mm.
been perfect.
That would have been cool. I would have
Mhm.
liked that for sure.
Hmm.
He says it was still a sweet episode showing love regardless. Yeah,
Yeah,
like again, I think our stance is that if it's by itself in a vacuum, it's fine. But for what this show is supposed to be, it felt like, okay, well, can we get back to the show now? Like
the only infected we saw is the one that got shot with the scrib
that
from the
was pretty cool.
tripwire. Yeah, that was
Clickers.
pretty cool. And the one that Ellie stabs, those are the only infected. Which is
Hmm.
Corey's next point.
Hmm.
Which Corey says we were already supposed to see another type of infected. Say word, and there should have been way more action. We agree. They're intentionally toning the violence down, but they better pick it up quick, in my opinion. I want to correct you, Corey. In our opinion, right, ladies and
Yeah, no, I definitely agree. I really hope that there is a little bit more going on in the next episode. Maybe it ramps up a little bit because this one did feel a little bit like a lot of the momentum was taken out
gentlemen.
um, from the overall story. And,
Right.
Chase says they're called
Oh,
clickers.
clickers. Right.
Yeah,
Oh, yes. Yeah, they called them. And it's so funny because they've been called clickers and other things that when I think that in my mind, I'm like, no, they're not called clickers in this. Um, and I will also add, because again, you two can correct me, Corey and Chase. Is this like a Telltale kind of game? If you don't know, the Telltale games are like The Wolf Among Us, the Batman series, those kind of games where it's like,
Walking Dead.
yeah, the Walking Dead game. They're like, they're almost like side scrolls, but in HD, pretty much.
Aren't they more like choose your own adventure kind of
Oh, there you go.
options?
Yeah, like a choose your own adventure kind of a game. There you go. If the Last of Us is similar to that, then most of this actually will make perfect sense because you realize that they're choosing certain routes, but there were alternative routes, and then that will lend to the other storylines that we're thinking could have been going on.
mm. It also kind of feels to me like a little bit like in an RPG when you explore an area and there might be a book or a journal. This almost feels like the journal that was left inside of Bill and Frank's house that you could read in the video game and actually learn more about their life.
Yeah, like the
Uh,
notes you discover in Resident Evil.
right, right.
Yeah.
To give you a little bit more context to the story around you. I think that that's good for the story building for sure. But again, I just felt like maybe had they taken down cut that the Bill and Frank part maybe into half of the time
Hmm.
and then allowed Ellie and Joel to make it there before they decided to commit suicide and maybe even be there when the day they decide to commit suicide. I mean, that could have been something as well.
Show up and just be there for their last few hours, even though they've
Yeah.
already drank it. But it's gonna happen. But you got 4 hours before, you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know. I wanted to see them interact in some way, and I felt like it would have been significant to us as viewers. But that could just be me, wanting my way because live in a first world
With
country.
your hoping and your dreaming.
With our hoping. Well, see, and this is and Chase, we have to let you know that we're normies and we don't know the video game by heart and we haven't played it. So
Well, I've
eh,
never played it at all.
No, I haven't either. So that
Yeah,
that's we're only really speculating from our perspective of just seeing the story.
right.
But
I
he
have
says
seen a
here,
few walkthroughs on YouTube.
yeah, he
I have
says here,
not seen any content other than actual being chased by some of the zombie hordes and how they had to escape. I have
yeah.
no idea any of the story at all whatsoever.
Oh
Mm.
wow. Okay.
Yeah. But I agreed, Chase, for sure. They shouldn't change the story. And I can see the retelling, so to speak. It's already written. I
Mhm.
wouldn't have minded the love story for Frank and Bill, but leave it where or where Bill is still alive. Yeah,
That's a good
definitely.
point as well. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
agreed. And we're definitely going to check out the game now that this is out. I've
Oh
heard
yeah.
so much about it.
Look,
That's like,
I have a
everybody
friend.
talks about this game. So
Right. I have a friend with a
I'm an
PS5.
Xbox guy.
Same. I mean, that's what I own at least. I have a friend with a PS5, and just recently I contacted him. I said, "Hey, look, this is what my schedule is like in the next few weeks. I'm gonna be at your house when you're available and I'm available, and I'm gonna
research
buy
time.
The Last of Us on your." And I was straight up about it. I was like, "I'm gonna buy The Last of Us on your system, and I'm gonna require the time to play it so I can see if it equates to the show because the show has me like suspense thriller type stuff right now."
Hmm.
Um, and
Lucky
yeah,
you.
that's just where we are. And he goes, "All right," and then I say, "The game's under $30, right?" It's not. It's not. No.
Probably not. No, I think it's yeah. But yeah, so Frank and Bill decide to drink poison, well, not poison, sleeping pills,
Sleeping. Yeah.
sleeping pills, and
The
die
internet does
together.
wonders because I actually looked up what kind of pills did they take, and it was like possibly sleeping pills because of dot, and I'm just like, thank you, internet. Like this
Mm.
episode's not even over yet.
Yeah. It was definitely a heart wrenching. It was sad. I think the
Yeah.
existential dread and sort of the sadness and the loneliness and all of that stuff was done really well. Again, it just bummed me out, and I was kind of like not in the mood to be bummed out.
Right.
So,
Something I thought was very interesting, like super interesting, was the note of them getting married in 2023. Um, I thought that was such an interesting thing because you have to go back and realize, like, okay, we live in 2023 today, and we didn't go through what they've been through in the last 30 years to get here. So let's go back to 2003 when it all starts. Same-sex marriages weren't legal.
oh yeah, yeah,
So
for
then
sure.
you fast forward to when they meet, still not legal, which is around the time they meet in the show, which is I think like 2010 ish. That's around the time we're having that discussion in our reality. And then you fast forward all the way to what, another 3 4 years, and then 10 years all the way to 2023. Excuse me. And they're just now like, oh, let's get married. That jumped off the screen to me because I was like, where are they? Why didn't they get married all this time? And I was like, oh, because that wasn't a discussion at the beginning of the apocalypse that they're living through.
Well, I mean, I mean, I get what you're saying, but I think that that might be more of a tie-in to the current era and our real life. Because if society collapses, who cares who you get married
I
to?
know that's what I
Marriage
mean.
Right.
Why
doesn't
would it
even
even matter?
marriage won't even mean what you think it means anymore.
Right. Well, no, but that's
Right.
more so
So
what I mean.
symbolically, you could have just did it in spite
Right.
of.
Yes.
Right. And that what I'm saying is I think it wasn't a discussion, so they didn't care. But in this
Yeah,
grand
of course not.
gesture of
But they're
things,
about to die
Frank's
and
like,
they want to be
right,
married to each other. Yeah, I
right.
get
So
that.
in the grand gesture of things, Frank's like, hey, here's something we haven't done. But it just came up
Mhm.
in that light more so than being this thing. Like
Somebody got to
Mhm.
get them death benefits.
it
Well, that's gonna be none of them. So, uh,
Oh, it
he,
was Joel.
was Joel.
oh, that's right. That's right. He got
Joel's
the
the
retirement
beneficiary,
package. Yeah,
that's for sure.
the life insurance.
Yes, indeed. Um,
But yeah, so I guess now that they have a working truck and they have a battery and they have all the guns they need,
they can stay put.
um, they could. No, no, no. They're gonna go try to find the brother now.
Yeah, they gotta go
Which
to
was kind of
Wyoming.
Joel's whole point in the first place, is he's been trying to get to his brother, so that
Right.
makes sense.
Let's see. Okay. So Corey said, what should really be happening is objectives with every setting and challenges for Joe. Agreed. for them to overcome that has gotten lost here in episode 3. It's pretty serious diversion from the game style. Yeah, Joel and Ellie got handed their swag instead of passing a level. You know what, Corey? That is the best way to describe exactly what I
I
was
think that's
trying
a
to
good
understand.
description. Yeah.
Yeah. We made this episode made it very clear that we are following the storyline of a video game. If you've ever watched the storylines of video games without the actual gameplay, like the fighting and stuff in between or whatever, which depending on what you're watching, that's really how this is playing right now. And it seems that way. They avoided all of the struggle, all of the ups and downs, all of the character
Relevant.
building exercises. They went right around all of that, put in a cheat code, got handed their swag, and now they're leaving the what would we call that? What we call that, the mage's shop or the temple? But yeah, they're leaving the
Yeah.
safe haven and headed back into the wild while having had no struggle and strife to get better at what they do on their way there. So yeah, I
Again,
get exactly what you mean.
I think it would have been more satisfying as a normie for me to see Joel and Ellie working with Frank and Bill
Yeah.
to fight off raiders or,
Teach them how to
at
build
least
a battery at least.
something, it would have been nice to have that interaction. But I guess that's also like the theme of this show is sort of like it's the name of the show, right? It's The Last of Us. You're not really going to see a whole lot of people. And maybe the idea is that when you do come across like signs of life, it's already too late. And you're just kind of walking in the shadow of people's past lives. Um, which is kind of, it's tragic in of itself. It's just this time you got the backstory as to whose house you just looted. you know?
Or well, in this situation, it's not considered looting.
Well, it's not considered looting in a video game either because you're just, going through a house and taking things that are there.
Some games literally call it looting.
Yeah.
Like
well,
Yeah, well, no
anyways.
one cares about those games.
What was it? State of Decay call it looting?
Nah, it's just resource collection.
Oh,
It's grinding.
grinding.
It's grinding. Yeah,
You gotta
definitely.
You gotta grind your safe havens.
That's right.
Yes,
Gotta-
sir.
It's kind of like State of Decay. You gotta figure out where the loot is.
Yep.
Get it back to your base.
Might be on the other side of a horde, but you better figure that out.
Right. And in this case, they found a new safe house.
Mm-hmm. That they're not gonna reuse, I assume.
Well,
No, they
not,
gotta go to
not right
Wyoming.
away.
No, for what reason would they go back that direction? And really quick, I do want to say that's kind of bothering me about Joel. For someone who knows you have to have like stockades and stockpiles in different places, when he gets opportunities to get new resources, he is superiorly opposed to taking anything he doesn't feel like he needs in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, he did put his gun away, which I thought was interesting.
Dude,
I mean,
dude's
maybe
kinda-
he knew that he was just going to have a whole house full of guns to pick from when he got to Frank. And
I,
Well,
I
you
think
know-
he did that. I think he did.
And you don't want to accidentally get shot by the fellas
Man,
coming up
true.
with a gun, and you don't
True,
need to.
right? Fair enough. Fair enough.
And they getting old, they get senile.
And getting a little jumpy.
Exactly.
Yep.
If he moves too fast, he gets one in the ass.
What? Moves too slow, he gets one in the toe.
There you go. Anything else you guys got that you wanted to add? I think we're at the end of the episode. So
Yeah, no. Overall, I think we all can agree. Standalone was actually a really good, decent, standard. Man, you got me kind of an episode. But in the midst of what we got from episodes 1 and 2, you add this and you end with a question mark lead in episode 4.
yeah, it feels like a very hard divergence from what we wanted. I mean, again, we want blah blah blah. I'm just kind of speaking generally here, but from what I was expecting episode 3 to be, I definitely didn't see it sort of like taking an aside that deeply, and then wondering like, all right, well, Nick Offerman's we're never going to see him again. We're probably never going to go back to that house again.
Mhm.
The only reason it's there is for the truck.
Which I don't think the truck's gonna get past the next episode.
No, it's not. Of course not, because then it'd be over by episode 5. So yeah. yeah, I guess we'll see. I mean, I expect a lot more bad things to happen. So
Bad things. Do you
yeah,
expect any more?
Bad.
Because we
do I
know who's
expect?
not dying. That part's easy.
Who do I expect? What?
More death.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. Yeah. Well, we. If you don't know, you know, and if you know this, I don't even play the games, and I already know what happens in the second game. So I mean, I don't even know why I'm getting attached to anybody.
Hey,
I
listen, we
probably
opened
shouldn't.
this entire series by saying the one thing we were told is don't get attached to nobody. Who are you attached to? We could kill Ellie next episode. I'm down.
Oh,
I'm
they won't
cool.
do that. No, no,
I mean,
no,
I feel
no.
like she's the only one who can't die.
Oh no, she
Hey,
can't. She can't.
hey, only thing better is if she died by a giant frozen troll corpse.
Hey, what if Ellie dies, but they have like a bunch of vials of her blood, so they still possibly have the cure?
That works.
Ellie's not gonna die. Ellie's not gonna die. We all
Yeah,
know
we
this.
know, but still.
Yeah.
All right. So Corey says that he agrees there was an agenda here that was pushed at the sacrifice of the flow of the season, in his opinion. But it was well done. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
hey, look, if it's one thing we are very consistent, we're gonna be honest about something was done well or not, but we're all about whether we feel like it fits where it was placed.
Yeah.
So
And I think that we had a lot of issues with House of the Dragon. With
House
such, I
of
mean,
Duke.
like that kind of gives me this type of vibe too, where it's like, yeah, if I wanted to just talk about the episode by itself, it might be a decent episode, but in the sort of grand scheme of the whole season, each episode starts to kind of erode at the season as a whole. So
Mhm.
hopefully that doesn't happen with The Last of Us.
Yeah. Well, I
Yeah.
think that's the last of us thoughts.
That is The Last of that is The Last of Us. This Sunday night, The Last of Us. And yeah, thank you guys so much for checking us out. I want to give a shout out to Corey, as well as Chase, as well as Ayla. Thank you guys so much for interacting with us tonight. We hope that you guys enjoyed the episode.
Appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you. We hope to see you next Sunday for episode 4, because we will be here at 8:30 for you guys after the show to cover it. Please consider giving us a thumbs up if you haven't already. We just hit 120 subscribers, and it's just because of you wonderful people out there. We really appreciate all of you. Thank you. We never thought that we would have more than maybe 10 or 15 subscribers, so 120 means a lot to us, and we are very, very thankful. So thank you guys out there for subbing. Hit that like button, and yeah, we're going to be here every Wednesday and Sunday night at 8:30 p.m. You can also catch all of our separate podcasts over at Thinkering Talks page on Facebook if you'd like. But Tuesday nights, Keelan has If Numbers Could Talk at 8 p.m. He's got Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. Tuesdays and Thursdays with Dijon the Mustard over on Twitch at Strawberries and Coffee. You can catch him Tuesdays and Thursdays, Strawberries and Coffee on Twitch. Big Mike has a Twitch channel as well. It's called King_of_Ilion on Twitch. Go check him out. He streams all the time, so just make sure you hit that notification bell, and you'll catch him at some point. Friday night we have Exofathom. That's on Facebook, YouTube, and Rumble and Verbal, and that's 8 p.m. Exofathom. Then Saturday morning is This Married Moment with Keelan and Bobby on Facebook, YouTube, and Spotify. This Married Moment. Sunday nights back here, Screen Time Continuum for The Last of Us. We will be covering every episode until the end, so join us and let us know what you think. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in tonight. We really appreciate all of you out there. Shout outs to Corey, shout outs to Chase, shout outs to Ayla for commenting, and always feel free to comment us in the future. We would love to hear from you. For Screen Time Continuum, I am Nick.
I am Keelan.
And I'm Mike.
Good night, everybody.
Deep voice.
Oh,
That's right.
Yeah.
Somebody gotta be masculine.